Hello and welcome to your full moon in Aquarius tarot for July 23rd, 2021. So welcome in. This is the first of two Aquarius full moons that we'll be having during the year of 2021. So there's a lot of that Aquarian energy floating in the atmosphere. Aquarius mindset is definitely the innovator, the free thinker. I had an Aquarius that I dated once compliment me on this dress, so that free-flowing flower power is what this time is all about. So we are going to dive in as usual with a series of cards. So if you are unfamiliar with these readings, here's how it's going to go. We're going to start with 4 oracle cards. This reading will be available for the General Collective on Instagram and YouTube. Then after that, we'll take that same information that we learned from those first 4 cards, head over to my Patreon and do an extended reading with 10 to 15 tarot cards to really dive in deep to the situation. So I encourage you to bring your intention to this reading to answer whatever questions that you have at this full moon. And if you find that the oracle card information is resonating for you, if you're like, man, this really sounds like what I needed to hear, there's probably something in the extended reading for you. And to access that extended reading, you want to become a monthly mystic over on my Patreon, patreon.com/Michelle Shea. The monthly mystic is the highest tier, so you have access to not only these extended readings on the new and full moon, you have access to the full moon event, which we have coming up tonight if you're watching this on July 23rd. So you'll also get access to that event. You also have access to the lower level offerings, which include an audio mini podcast every month, a ritual dedicated to the goddess that we've pulled at the beginning of the month, tarot scopes that happen every month at the first, as well as weekly pick-a-card readings. So if you're into tarot and astrology and keeping yourself updated on a regular basis, that's a great community to join. I always love to see people over there, and sometimes I open up the higher level offerings to the lower levels as well, but these extended forecasts tend to stay up at that upper tier, so enjoy it if you choose to. So without further ado, we'll be diving into our original 4 oracle cards. We always start with the deck of my creation, Total Betty Goddess deck. It's a deck of goddesses that are played by 90s icons. So if you're really big into the 90s or into mythology, you might enjoy both of those things together. We're going to shuffle up the cards and just find out what sort of energy is residing over this full moon in Aquarius. So our goddess of this moon is Ocean, played by Lauryn Hill. So Ocean is a beautiful sign of abundance that's on the way. It's a beautiful sign of love and sexuality that could be flowing to you, as well as creativity. But definitely an abundance of something good is coming into your life. So it's a really auspicious card to be pulling in this full moon. I would also venture to say that the abundance might take a little bit of time to trickle in, but it is going to trickle in. So Ocean is a goddess of water. I would think of this less as a floodgate that's bursting open and more as a stream that's going to constantly flow in what you need, especially between this full moon in Aquarius and the full moon in Aquarius that is happening in August. So think of those as bookends. So if you're getting frustrated that an abundance of love, money, or creativity is not flowing your way, start to find gratitude and notice the little things that are trickling in that stream, because that's really going to help you to accumulate that wealth of whatever you're manifesting throughout the next 4 or so weeks. So with Ocean residing over us, we are then going to pick 3 oracle cards from the Wild Unknown Animal Spirit deck. So this has become one of my favorite decks to just get a really quick insight into. I find that it's very accurate to the things that I'm asking about. And we're going to pull 3 cards, past, present, and future, to kind of tell us what sort of energy we're coming from, what sort of energy to expect from this full moon, and what sort of energy that we should expect moving out of it if we utilize it to our advantage. So we have the mouse, the owl, and the rabbit. So we're starting with the past energy of the mouse. And the mouse represents a little bit of busy work. The mouse is just always busy doing something, but it's not necessarily always something super important. So the energy that we're bringing into this full moon from our recent past is maybe stressing too much about getting things done that don't really matter. So there's really a question right now of intention and of making the most of your energy. So if you found that you are really being occupied by small trivial tasks in your day-to-day and you're not getting to the larger things, it might be time to start to prioritize, to make a list of the things that you have to do that day, and then to really highlight or bold out the really important stuff and make sure you get to that first. And then the smaller things like maybe dusting or vacuuming or things like that can kind of wait until later. And oftentimes when you do this, you'll find that whenever you finish one of the bigger tasks on your list that you usually avoid, the accomplishment of that gives you so much energy that you actually can get to a lot more stuff on your list than if you were trying to do the little things that you kind of know aren't that important and you're avoiding that bigger picture item. So that's the message that we're looking at. Kind of be aware of where you're putting your energy and how you're expending it. And if you had only those 3 things that you do in that day to leave behind on this planet, like, would that really matter? So how can you think bigger picture here and reserve your energy for those items? And then ultimately that will create more energy for the smaller items. But even if it doesn't, you will feel very much more accomplished by getting those big ticket items done. With that in mind, we're moving into the energy of the owl. So the owl goes very well with our goddess Ocean, because the owl is about a message of abundance. It's about a sign, a symbol, a delivery of some sort of abundance flowing into your life. Now, keep in mind, the owl can be abundance that is material, or it could be abundance that is spiritual. So I don't know about you, but I have felt super connected to spirit in the days leading up to this full moon. I have wanted to do nothing the past 5 or so days but meditate. And not everyone has the time for that, and I don't have the time for that, but that has been what my spirit has been called towards. So recognize that as you're waiting for this abundance to come in on this full moon, and in between these 2 Aquarius full moons, that the abundance might be coming in an abundance of inspiration, of ideas. So carve out time in your day to connect to whatever way you connect to spirit. I really like a little yoga, a little meditation. That's the sweet spot for me. 20 minutes in the morning, 20 minutes at night if I can, but at least 5 to 10 minutes in the day is really important to find that clarity, that sense of self, to come back into who I really am, so that I know that those tasks that I'm doing are actually important. So the owl and the spiritual connection here is really going to be sort of the antidote to that busy mouse energy. Because if you are taking the time to center yourself, maybe in the morning, and get really clear on what it is that you want to accomplish that day in the big picture of things, and let your intention guide you through the day, that might naturally gravitate you away from those tasks that don't have as much meaning towards the things that really hold weight in your world. So expect abundance, but also expect abundance in the form of spiritual clarity and connection, because that is equally important and usually leads you to the material abundance as well. As we move out of this full moon, we are doing a little bit of a backslide, but that's okay, because our future card is the Rabbit. So the Rabbit is a fearful energy. I believe the guidebook for this deck mentions that the rabbit's always talking to his friends about how he's afraid one day the eagle is going to eat him. And he talks so much and so loud about this topic that one day the eagle hears him and he swoops down and he eats him, thanking the rabbit for the good idea. So this is really a card that says, once we have this moment of spiritual clarity, this abundance flowing in, be mindful of how hard you grasp to the things you've accomplished. Be mindful of how you speak about the things that you have in your life to the world. Because if you are constantly going towards a negative slant or being fearful of the future and talking about those fears, they will ultimately manifest. So just be aware that your words and your thoughts have power. And, you know, we're still allowed to have moments of fear, but the goal isn't to not be fearful of anything. It's how quickly do you rebound back from that fear to a place of feeling protected, to a place of feeling aligned, to the place of feeling like things will unfold exactly as they're meant to. So the grand story that I'm getting from these cards is essentially there are tasks that we're shifting our priorities towards. And those tasks that we're shifting our priorities towards might actually bring up some fear within us. I think what's been happening with our previous mouse energy is we've been avoiding our grander life purpose because it feels really scary to fulfill your full potential. And this full moon is bringing about the clarity, the peace, the abundance that we need to be able to step into that power. But just because we step into the power doesn't mean that those old thought patterns don't pop back up. So in the form of the rabbit, once we've stepped into that power, that old self, that old ego is still going to be coming back up and maybe whispering in our ear that we should be a little bit fearful. And the antidote to that is the same antidote to the mouse energy. It's coming back into that owl energy of abundance of spiritual messages, of abundance of connection to yourself, and being able to find that place of stillness, that place of quiet, so that you're no longer listening to that monkey mind and all of its worries. So if this resonates for you, we're going to see what happens with the tarot cards as to what area of life this is going to dive into. Right now, I could see it being career related, I could see it be relationship related, or I could see it just being like mental wellness and health related. Ultimately, that last one, no matter what the topic is. But we're going to dive in with some tarot cards and really kind of figure out the full scope of this journey. If you are wanting more tarot, and again, you're watching this on July 23rd, we will be having a live tarot event tonight. It is going to be hosted on Ring Central. It's a simple app that you can download. It's free, and I'll be offering it for free to every level on the Patreon this month. Normally, it's just the monthly mystics, but this month we're doing a special thing where everyone's invited. So if you join even the $3 level on patreon.com/Michelle Shea, you can have access to the event. It's already been posted. The information's on the website. So feel free to join the Patreon and get all those tarot goodies, as well as be able to participate in our live reading. We'll be answering your personal questions live on the app and giving a little meditation to center you into this full moon. It's happening at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, which is 7 p.m. Central Standard Time and 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So again, July 23rd, if you're watching this the day this video is posted and it's before those hours, feel free to join us. If you would like to not join the Patreon, but you still want to join us, you can do a single ticket for $35 at one of the links below. Another thing I want to mention, if you are into astrology, I'm starting to offer single sessions with astrology, tarot, Akashic records, and general intuitive readings for people on my website, and they are themed towards sexual health, wellness, and awareness. So those sextrology sessions are now available on the website as well, and I will link those below. If you want more of this reading, it's happening over at the Patreon, so join us there now. And if you're watching this on Patreon, the rest of your reading starts right now.